Was it something I said? So guys, a few weeks back I posted a teaser video for an upcoming video where I was going to make some comparisons between two different types of revolutions, right? So the revolution associated with anti-capitalism, the shutdown, looting and rioting or protesting in the name of social justice and safety. And then the revolution in relation to the complete opposite. The revolution concerning open economy and capitalism in the name of freedom to be able to provide for yourself and your family. However, YouTube deemed this teaser video as violating their guidelines. You know, one group openly and freely expressing their view and perspective, and how there's another group that was waiting in the wings, ready to do the same thing. That's all the video was about. The video was called Revolution Works Both Ways. So I'm going to try to touch on that today without violating any of YouTube's guidelines. We'll see how that works. But YouTube, again, I guess, was listening to a small portion of the video that I posted and didn't like what the man had to say. Therefore, they took my video down, saying it violated their guidelines. But it's cool. So here we go. We're gonna try to again. We're gonna try to touch on this issue without violating the so-called guidelines. So let me make a few points. I want to make a few points of clarity within this video about this gentleman. So the gentleman, I believe he was in California speaking at a local city hall meeting of somewhat, where he voiced his concerns about, about this very issue. He starts off by saying he's concerned about citizens and their ability to figure out how to best navigate their way through this thing. So it was pretty decent initially. Then about the COVID-19 rather, and the shutdown. Then he goes in on the city council people, or the governing body he was in front of. He made it known that he was a business owner, and unlike the guaranteed security and salary that their jobs was allowed them to have, as a business owner, he was at the mercy of being open. So I'm assuming he wasn't running what government deems an essential business, such as a liquor store, casino, lottery, etc. I'm not kidding about these things, people. In some municipalities, that is the case. These are essential businesses, and they're allowed to be open. So he acknowledges that one of the body members, which was crazy, actually was asleep in his chair. That just goes to show you how concerned they are about business owners. Then he points out his family is starving, just like a lot of other business owners. And they've been cool and peaceful and for that matter, been happy about just chilling, hoping that it was going to open back up as a hardworking citizen, a good citizen, a peaceful citizen. There was only so much that he can take because his family, quote unquote, is starving. Then he demands for them to open up and allow business owners to do what they need to do to take care of their families. It's a reasonable request. But again, it's falling on deaf ears. Then he says something I guess was the main reason why my initial teaser video was taken down. Get this. He suggested, more like demanded, that they need to take those masks off. Y'all know we can't do that. You can't go nowhere without that mask. You got top flight security of the world, Craig, standing in front of storefronts. And basically what he was saying was this has psychological effects on his children. He's had, this is subjective, by the way, of course, but it's his experience. And he referenced his friends committing suicide because of losing their job or their ability to provide for their families because of the shutdown. And he just said that they're complicit in perpetuating the greatest lie ever told about the danger of this shutdown, this virus and this civil unrest. My point is this, guys. My point of clarity is this. Whether you agree with this gentleman or not, with his perspective or not, you have to admit that there are And there is two different types of revolutionary viewpoints on each side of this fence, on each side of this perspective. And one should not be given equal consideration or biased consideration over the other, but both should be given equal consideration. But in today's climate, it's unfortunate because that's not the case. That's not the case. You and I both know, you guys watching this video, you know, there's not a lot of play, not a lot of consideration being considered for those of us who own businesses and that are being required to shut down. I myself am a business owner. I fortunately have not been made to shut down. But again, in California and a lot of these other municipalities, depending on what type of business you're running, shut down completely. How are you supposed to survive? Especially when you got politicians sitting and playing power plays depending on what their position is and who they're playing the game with, because it's all a game. You've got Democrats on one side of the aisle and Republicans on the other side of the aisle. And depending on who they're dealing with, or put it like this, depending on what they feel like they can get out of the proposition, then they're going to play the game. Whereas you got bystanders, innocent bystanders, citizens, business owners, men, women, boys, and girls that are suffering because of this game. I said this a while back. We need to defund these politicians that are not doing their job. We talking about defunding the police, defunding these institutions that are supposedly systemically racist. Let's defund these politicians that are not doing their job. Let's get them out of the office. I'm talking about defund them while they're in office. You don't even get paid to do, you don't get paid to do what you're supposed to do if you're not doing it. You just don't get paid. And then eventually you get voted out, of course. But again, there's two sides of this revolutionary viewpoint. You got one side, again, that's advocating reform or justice reform and all these things that supposed to make society better and make society equal. And in some instances, there needs to be reform. But then you've got another side that's saying your freedoms or your rights that you're advocating for is infringing on my rights. How is it as a citizen of the United States that I'm not able to provide not only for myself, but for my family because of what? Because you are afraid for my safety. Yeah, you got all these businesses open that what? They're doing something different than I would do. Just tell me the guidelines tell me what I need to do as a business owner so that I can open my business so I can fall in the same category as them. In most instances, there's no difference. You're not going to be able to do anything different that's going to put you in a safer place or space to operate. So why are they allowed to open? Why are they getting biased consideration and I'm not? It's unfair. So that's all this gentleman was saying. And I love it when he dug in, especially when whoever one of the governing body members was sitting there chilling, sleep. Man, that's disrespectful. That's foul. But hopefully you guys will see this video again. Hopefully I hadn't violated no YouTube guidelines. I didn't feel like I did initially in the first place. All I did was post a video making reference to what I was planning on talking about and how this gentleman had a different revolutionary viewpoint. And in order for society to move forward, both sides are going to have to consider each other's view. As long as it doesn't violate the constitutional right of the American people as a whole, why we can't come to a common ground, why we can't have a conversation. But again, because it's not about having a common ground with most people, with most of these politicians, by the way. It's about power. The appetite for power versus the appetite for purpose. Those two things on the inside of every human being, you're going to have to battle every single day. But we're not going to be able to move forward. We're not going to be able to accomplish anything until the appetite for purpose versus the appetite for power wins. It's the appetite for purpose that's going to allow a common ground and allow for the conversation to move forward. It's the appetite for power that leans towards self-centeredness and selfishness and biases that don't include the opposite perspective or another person's opinion. It's all or no, all this way or no way. It's all my way or the highway, as they like to say. So again, folks, I love it. I love it that this guy decided to step forward and say, you know what? You talking about people out in the streets. That's basically what he was saying. People protesting for civil rights and all these things. What about the ability to provide for my family as a right, as a human being and an American citizen's right? How about we protest opening society back up? How about we do that? Because I have a right. Because we certainly can't depend on the federal government to do it, to take care of us. $1,200, come on, folks. And they still sitting over here talking about what they're going to do next. That's not enough, by the way. We all know that. Maybe your way of life is different than mine, but that ain't enough for me. But again, thanks, guys, for tuning in. Please like and share. Click on the bell so you'll be the first to know when I post a new video. And comment below. Am I tripping? Is these two sides of the revolution? Is one side right versus the other side being wrong? Or can both sides be heard? Comment below. You guys take care.